have another book come out because he's like James Patterson, so of course there'll be another book. You know, it's been a few minutes. I have some technical issues here and there, but I'm back to get stuff on the show. If there happens to be two or three people out there who aren't familiar, I'm having a car show on here with you. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got started writing.
Hello.
Hello? You
Yeah,
there?
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. Tell us about yourself, Gary. I'm sorry, just for those listeners and readers out there who may not be familiar with you. You want to tell us about you, how you got started.
Okay. I've been at this going on 12 years, coming up this fall, and I do kind of a mix of mystery, murder, and sci-fi. And in the book we're talking today, it's going to be basically strictly crime, murder. It's part of a series that I have going called Stanford Carter Murder Mystery. This is book 2, and this is also basically a prequel in a way, as it takes us back a few years before the other book, which is called Kindred Killers. This is called Murder by Association. And Carter will be dealing with a number of serial killers in Boston, prior to that. So this is where the story opens up. Hopefully the readers will get to see more about Carter's background and his relationship with his CSI girlfriend, Jill Seacrest. And I hope it will be exciting for people to catch on to as they're going to read.
I think it will. It's definitely, it's a little bit, I always talk about, you really do just genre, what you mean, how there you paint me in a corner. I mean, you do kind of bend it up, and I'll call it that before, the genre bending that you do, because you do know so many things in your different books. This one's pretty much straight laced. I mean, that's kind of coming at you like that. Which one do you prefer? One that, all twisted up that has a little bit of everything in there, or this one? Or is this one just like the others, but on a murder mystery too?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, the kind of books are kind of like children's, so it's hard to pick the one you like best. I mean, I do kind of like to mix it up, but the thing is that readers seem to be gravitating toward Stanford Carter, so hopefully they're identifying with this Boston detective and the hell that he has to go through. I wanted him to be a character that can sustain himself through all the gruesome crimes he has to investigate, so I have him kind of use some meditation techniques, sort of kind of some Zen outlook on life, and I hope readers will find that interesting too, an interesting side of the character has to go through such kind of a really gruesome events of humanity.
Now, this is really for me. I know you're always thinking, of course, I'm going to get 10 of these for you, because I don't get to talk to you enough, I feel like this. Is this going to be like a police procedural kind of deal, or is this going to be focused more on the human side of it, than so much the scenes or whatever?
On my reading today?
No, in the book in general. I mean, just kind of looking to see what kind of format, it is. I see that we're talking about serial killers, and you got lots of them. It's possible that corruption going on. I mean, I don't know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's not just like a serial killer book. It's the reader will see as they read on, and Carter, the detective, will see as he investigates further that there's a dark conspiracy going on. There's a darker motive for the killings, other than just this crazed kind of like psychopath that you kind of see in the beginning. There's more of like a rhyme and reason to the murders and kind of political edge to it. So it's all going to come to a crashing crescendo at the end, where Carter will finally face the final demon in his battle, so to speak. And I hope it really ends in a powerful way, so readers will want to continue the series and see how Carter's going to go on in the future. Again, dealing with dealing with these type of murders, because it's kind of psychological in a way. He's a homicide detective, and he also deals heavily with the psychology side of the killings.
Very, 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 very cool with get a message you guys find. I hope it does. Anyone, I'll always appreciate it when Gary does that a little bit for you. I do want to point out to you guys the sale of great reviews on Amazon available. It's free and two other categories, so you can do those thrillers, murder, you know. I mean, it's pretty much has you guys have thrillers, murder, pretty much everything. You know, pretty much everything you had me there, Gary. So let me ask you this before we get to the point where we get ready to read. What kind of feedback have you gotten? What are your readers clamoring for? What kind of praise are they giving you on the book?
It's very good for this book, Murder by Association, and its partner book, Kindred Killers. It's basically my bestsellers of all my books. So, you know, you don't really know where that's going to come from, where the readers will start buying and start liking. So I'm glad that they chose this, and I'm excited that I'm going to be starting a new book in the series in a few weeks. So, you know, Carter will continue, so if you like it, you'll be able to get more of it. And for this book itself, it's a good way to come into it without investing a lot. It's 99 cents. It's free if you have Kindle Unlimited. And also, if readers want to go and sign up for my mailing list, which is on Facebook, I will be giving a free ebook to everybody who does that. So everybody who's listening today, if they want to go to that page, sign up, I'll get them a free ebook. And they will do that by going to...
Very cool.
Yeah. So they can...
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen this little button on that. See, I must be the one under a rock. I've never seen it right here. I've seen you know, click here to buy, or the Kindle Unlimited, or subscribers, rates for free. That's a first for me. I haven't seen that, and if anybody had that, I'll probably better pay attention. I'm seeing it right now. I'm like, oh, that's cool, Gary.
Great.
That's really, really cool.
So I put...
I wanted to ask you, and you know what? I can say that this is for me, but I'm going to tell you right out there, I'm asking you this for the readers out there. Because this question, the burning question is, this chapter 6 is a book to you. How in your head right now, how many books in the series are you're going to end up with?
Wow, I don't know, but I mean, it's going to be 3 for sure, because I'll be starting the 3rd one soon. And I really don't know myself, you know, if this is, you know, you go on these rides with these characters.
Okay, we're 3 for 2. We're going to get one more out of it. We're Lee's going to, one more time with Stanford Carter. I mean, look, if people come knocking around your books for too long, somebody else is going to come knocking around your books for other things, like movies, or, you know, this, that, and the others. So, and this one's really, really cool. So that's why we're happy to see you guys. So Lee's another book in the series 3, but it could be more. I don't know. You know, he turns out to be your favorite author, and you send him an email, and a few weeks, they're like, oh, I thought it was Gary. And we'll say, I'm writing another book. I'm totally writing another book. Gary, I would really love to hear a little bit from Murder by Association. And
Okay.
I know that you had a short reading out for the listeners. So let's write down, open the board up, and sit up. You know, Brian, when you're ready, okay?
Okay, great. I am going to read from Murder by Association. Tawana suddenly found herself in a life or death struggle. Her attacker had sprung up from the back seat of her Dodge Intrepid. Tawana's friends had all warned her about keeping her vehicle locked, especially when she frequented city parking garages. But Tawana maintained she knew how to handle herself. She had grown up on the streets of Dorchester, where danger often lurked around every neighborhood corner. Tawana defied men to try to take advantage of her, especially when she partied at nightclubs. The 26-year-old African-American woman often turned an icy stare on anyone foolish enough to cross her path. For this very reason, she often dared to patronize the establishment solo. This night was no exception. Early in the evening, one yuppie dressed in a blue suit had foolishly decided to make an advance toward what he thought was a very lonely and vulnerable woman. He quickly became versed in Tawana's no-tolerance policy. In Tawana speak, this meant no jerks allowed. The man in the blue suit flashed Tawana the finger before acquiescing to her verbal lashing. Tawana left the club alone at 1 in the morning with little more than a slight buzz in her head. She was used to living in a solitary world where she would come and go as she pleased. In the span of 60 seconds, Tawana's whole world changed. The feisty hotel manager entered her car, buckled in, and glanced in the rearview mirror. To her horror, she found the man in the blue suit looking back at her. Tawana had only 1 minute to free herself from her safety buckle and the stranger's arm, which had a bear-like hold on her. The five-lemon woman sized up her attacker. Using all her might, she threw a reverse punch with her right elbow. The punch connected splendidly with her attacker's right eye. The force of it also freed the weapon from the intruder's hand. Tawana had briefly turned the tables on her attacker. She used the element of surprise to grab a handful of his brown hair. She plucked it from his skull like a weed. The tough intruder had suddenly been reduced to a young thug. His cry of pain mimicked a child's. Unfortunately for Tawana, the maniac in her back seat would not give up so easily. Before Tawana could unfasten her seatbelt with her left hand, the attacker had reestablished his grip on her. With knife in hand, he thrust it into her chest. The killer waited for his victim to fall unconscious so he could commence the carving ritual. Later, the perp would remove the patch of hair from his victim's hand and place his calling card on the passenger seat. Fully satisfied, Tawana, the hotel manager, would never again cast a disparaging glance at him or any other man. The next morning, the CSIs were all over the crime scene like ants on honey. Boston Mayor Schroeder had also decided to make a personal appearance. Stanford advised his unit to concentrate on evidence retrieval and not the insinuation the politician was attempting to reinforce. Mayor, I know this time is of the essence, Stanford began. Before Carter could finish his thought, he was interrupted by a shriek. Eureka! Jill Sechrest screamed. With evidence in gloved hand, the young CSI sprinted in the direction of her boss and the alarmed mayor. We have hair follicle transfer underneath the Vic's nails. Carter was silently amused at the CSI's jubilation. Mayor Schroeder continued to look on Sechrest with wide-eyed amazement. Looks like we just caught the break I was waiting for, Stanford told the mayor. But Schroeder did not warm to Carter's news. Instead, he kicked a pebble down the slope where Jill had been working. Pointing at the rock, Schroeder addressed Carter. You better catch more than a break, or you'll end up buried like that stone. As the mayor sauntered to his car, Carter could not resist a final taunt. My CSIs dig for the truth, Mayor. Consequently, I really worry about getting buried. The mayor's car door slammed. Carter turned his head away to conceal a small smile. The investigator always suspected there was some dirt on Schroeder. Carter vowed he would one day expose the seamier side of the mayor. It just might explain Schroeder's hostile relationship with him, but right now the clock was ticking and evidence needed to be analyzed before another person lost a life. Back at the lab, the excitement of the investigation team began to mount. Jill greeted Carter with a beaming smile. We have a nice juicy sample of someone's sebaceous gland. I think the killer has a full head of hair from the looks of this follicle. Carter warmed to congratulate his young CSI, but refrained. Accolades could come later, after the killing stopped. Carter was confident the team would now have a solid representation of the killer's DNA since the sebaceous gland induces oil into the hair. Please begin the processing, Jill, and I will meet you later. He exited the room before Jill could respond. But we don't have anybody to match it to, Jill announced in frustration to an empty lab room. Carter purposely left his young CSI to analyze the data on her own. He did not want to introduce any more emotion into the case than necessary. Carter would later match the DNA sample to a name Gelder had found in the DOC database, but right now he would visit the medical examiner. He wanted to be sure the autopsy results were consistent with the other victims. As Stanford walked down the hall, he reflected on how Lyons had scolded him for his haste during his rookie year. Jill was going to become an outstanding CSI, Stanford reasoned. She just needs a little seasoning. I know I did. Medical examiner Schock told Stanford that the entry wound was consistent with the type of knife used on the previous 7 victims. Our problem is that we don't have the murder weapon, Schock explained. But I can be certain that the killer possesses little or no medical knowledge. Each victim suffered a fatal stab to the heart, but each wound is slightly different. I believe the killer is thrusting the weapon downward into the victim's chest cavity. This victim suffered a wound to her pulmonary artery. The point of entry is also different in each case. The last victim suffered bruising to the pericardium membrane, which surrounds the heart like a sac. The victim before that experienced several thrusts from a blade, which resulted in damage to her sternum. I find it highly unlikely the killer used a scalpel in either case. In fact, the entry wounds in the stomach carvings look like they were caused by a kitchen carving knife. I guess it's quite appropriate to label our perp as the plunger. He just stabs at will. So it's safe to say our killer doesn't work in the medical field. Thanks, Andrew. The next day, Stanford Carter had the name of a prime suspect. Carter's gut instinct told him the crime scene DNA sample would match positively with a man named John Chambers. Credit card records confirmed John had attended the speed dating function. He also had a prior record for aggravated assault and armed robbery. In 1995, Chambers had become incensed with a gas station attendant who filled his car with the wrong grade of gasoline. Chambers made a statement to police that the attendant did not properly apologize for the error. That's when Chambers proceeded to draw a gun on the surprise teen and demanded a cash refund. Stanford reviewed the data on his laptop in private. He decided not to tell his colleagues about his find. He would quietly apprehend the suspect, fearing a leak in the press might send the killer fleeing over state lines. 2 hours later, Carter called his prime suspect coming out of his Rentham, Massachusetts home. He was sporting a purple bruise around his right eye. And that's where I'll leave it off. I hope that enticed some of the readers to go out and check out Learning by Association.
You guys are damn, you're just killing me. I'm over there going, oh yeah, that's the guy right there. It's just like, yeah, stand there. I knew something. I knew it was going to be a bad problem. But she's like, I got this. I was like, oh no. Oh no, I got this. That's really, I mean, straight up police history going, I love it. I do like that character. And I think kind of want everybody kind of gravitating toward that character and kind of, they're going to start tugging at you. Email box and telling you to write more.
Okay.
So have you been doing any book science or anything going on that you wanted to put out there, anything like that?
I did want to mention again, that anybody listening and wants a free book of mine, so they can get introduced to it at no charge, I'm happy to send one along. All you're going to need to do is go to Facebook, and you're going to put in the search field, you're going to put in Gary Starta Sci-Fi Fan Page. That's GaryStarta Sci-Fi Fan Page. That will bring you to the page where you just scroll down and find the envelope. Click that, and that signs you up for my mailing list.
Very cool. Yeah, and I'm going over here grabbing me. Just follow me in there. I think I'm already up. I like the other thing. I didn't even know this was on that. Cold beans, that is really, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And probably the coolest thing I've seen in a minute just here, try my book and let me get your all wrapped up in there. You're going to want to get together sometime, you guys. I've been stealing Gary's books for a minute. Everybody loves them. Every time he comes on the show, he has tons of downloads, and we always have a great time, and they always come back for more. So I know these books are fabulous. I know you guys are going to follow this character around, and I want to know where he's going too. So you already know revolving door here for anytime, Gary. I did want to get some links out there for everybody. Now, today when I posted, you guys can go look at it on a little slideshow thing, when I posted, I put his Facebook page up, and he's like a writer blog, it's like a health singer that you have going on your blog. I put it up there.
Great.
But if you got some other social media, if you want to get out to Gary, I'd love to have a Twitter or any other Facebook pages. And tell them they can pick up a copy of the rest of your book.
Okay, and that's easy just to go to that Amazon landing page, which you're talking about. I appreciate your kind words about that. So they just can put in Gary Starta, Starta, when you get to Amazon Kindle, and all of them should pop up. Many of them are full-length novels. I price them at 99 cents, and some of them are unlimited, free unlimited, so that's cool too, hopefully, to get people to read. And I was going to get back to that one question you had earlier, if you're thinking I'm going to continue Carter or not. And it's interesting because I had finished up what I thought was going to be Caitlin Diggs, is his friend. She's an FBI agent, and she was in a 4-book series, but then I decided to continue that down the road with a clone version of her. So you never know, what the characters can be, can continue on.
Right. Yeah, right. You know what? I do know that because and it's funny. So why do you even bother asking? Because if you get a lot of, if you get some meaty characters and books in there, readers, they're not gonna, they'll take one out of you. They'll take one out of you. Like, you'll be like, oh, maybe I can think an idea from this, and the other. So, this is another reason why it's really important for you guys to leave those reviews. You know what? let them know, hey, man, you're my favorite author. So well on your way to being in it, and what's the next book coming out? And most of these people are just down to you and I, and we happily love to have you as a reader and a fan, and answer your questions. And Gary's one of those writers, is that kind of guy. So I'm excited about the book. Really excited about it. Now, look, before I let you get out of here, I do want you to come on for Coalescence. Because this is really, really cool. But I wasn't trying to, just be blatantly focused on something else. So tell me that place in the show when I can say, let's set up and you come on to Coalescence. Really, really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. See, I thought your show was more focused just on murder mystery, so I don't know if my sci-fi would fit in with the audience.
No. I got kids book authors that come on. You know what? I was supposed to have had Paul Jeffries, David's on, and he's kind of created Transformers. He wrote books with George Lucas's wife. And, I have everybody on here. I've had singers on here. I've had everybody. No focus. I love all different genres.
Sweet.
I'm just not going to porn or anything, but I would love to get this on here. This sounds really, really cool. And it wasn't because I wasn't paying attention. I promise I was paying attention to the other characters. This just came up in the last 5 minutes. I see it. It's gorgeous. So, if you came, let's get you on for that one too.
All right, awesome, because that's going to have a book 2 coming out soon and a book 3, so that's something that readers might want to invest in. These are the readers who maybe have an interest, say, in UFOs and ghost hunting. But I think, from the reaction I've gotten in reviews, that one reader said that, you didn't even have to be a science fiction fan to like it. It was just like, so much about the characters and just their life experiences. So you didn't necessarily have to even be a science fiction fan to get into the characters and stories. So that was nice to say.
Right. Oh, no, I'm glad I saw it then, and I'm like, shoot, I'm just talking to John Emily here, and he's got something else that's like a whole different arena. So yeah, absolutely, we'd love to get you on here and talk about this. I got a few days open in May, so
all right, awesome. I'll come right back then.
Coming out, it looks really cool. It really does. That's a great book cover too. All right, you guys. I totally got just off on another book. That's what happens when you have really good writers on. And you start finding all these books. I'm like, crap, this was a 10 the last time. But right now today, you guys, Murder by Association as Sam Card Precinct. I'm really liking this stuff. I'm really liking the Sam Card character. Really, really neat character. This is really a lot of fun. And you guys check it out. If you've already read Murder by Association, I'd love to hear what you thought. And I'm pretty sure Darren would love to hear it as well. You can send an email, CKWebb73@gmail.com, and let us know what you thought. Wow. Shoot me an email, don't forget, and listen to the other one, and I'm really excited about Murder by Association. And if anything major happens, and you know what all those things are, we'll get this book back on here too if we need to.
Okay, thanks a lot, CK. I really appreciate it, and I hope someone will come out and check it out today.
Absolutely, very, very cool on the silence research. I think that's something I haven't seen any of it all come to it. So that's a really cool button right there. So check it out. It is available Murder by Association. I highly recommend you guys go and subscribe and check it out. And who knows, you might fall in love with it, and he turns into your next favorite author. There you go. Then you got to get caught up because Gary has a lot of books coming. So, all right, Gary. Well, I have really enjoyed it. This book sounds phenomenal. I can't wait to hear from you on the other one. That's going to be exciting. I know a lot of aliens, UFO people. As a matter of fact, one of the publicists I work with, Morgan Associates, that's Eric Von Daniken's people. So
wow.
People that come on.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
People that are all on ancient aliens and discovery, and I have another guy coming on that did 22 episodes of ancient aliens. I love that stuff. So yeah. Wow,
cool. All right. Well, I never knew that side of you. Very cool.
I know you could never picture it, but it's in there. I always say I love Stephen King, and think about Stephen King. That's not just horror. That's sci-fi. That sometimes it's psychological, sometimes it's real, sometimes it's suspense. There always seems to be some sci-fi right there at its core. So I guess that's where it comes from. I'm excited that I'll be looking through your email, and once again, great reading. Thank you so much for coming on one of your books. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Okay, very good. You take care. Have a great day.
All right. You too, dear. Thanks so
Bye.
much. Bye.